All right.
Ready to go? Ready to go? You can hear me? Check, mic check. Ready?
Microphone.
You gotta let me know when we're good. Check
ready.
audio.
We're ready.
We're good? We're ready to go?
Ready.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Shoebox Podcast. It's your host, Oscar.
It's your boy, Chewy.
And welcome back. It's been a minute, you know. We've been missing out on these episodes, and I'd like to apologize firsthand and say we're back, and you know, we're going to start things off right by talking about, you know, things we like to talk about, sneakers.
That's what this channel's about.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, you know, this episode, we kind of wanted to take things back a little bit, chop it up, and give some of these people, you know, the things that, you know, we've been doing and kind of like a background between, like, you know, the things that we're doing behind the scenes and maybe just a little bit more backstory, because I feel like there's a lot of new people that we've been meeting at these events. We've been doing, we went to Seattle, Portland, and then we just did the Moses Lake one. Yep. Those are just the ones I can think of. I don't know if there's any other ones that we're missing, but it looks like, you know, we've gotten a lot of new people. Hopefully they're following the channel. I know we got more people following us on Instagram, so that's good. Get to see that growth.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and welcome if you're here. Hit the subscribe button. That's very important to us to see that this channel grow. What are we at now? Like,
we're almost at 500 subscribers.
500 subscribers, which, you know, may not seem a lot to some people, but to us it seems like that's pretty big, especially for YouTube. I feel like YouTube has been the hardest
to grow on for sure. And
it's
been a grind, but I'm like excited because every day we get more followers. And it's like,
I think our biggest success has been like the shorts, right? It's, I mean, that's what's popular right now.
It's very trendy right now.
Yeah, right, exactly. So this episode I want to solely dedicate to diving a little bit deeper into each individual character that is behind the scenes and everything. So because Shoebox isn't just comprised of, you know, one singular person, you know, whoever. Sometimes we get people who think, you know, you're running the show or I'm not running the show or there's Anthony, but there's actually three of us partaking in this business. So
it's a little more than just one person.
Right. And we all kind of have different roles too. And I think that's something that I wanted to take some time in this episode with everybody and break down, you know, and have a one-on-one conversation and just kind of get to know each other a little bit better. Let them kind of get to know us a little bit better. A little bit of background and kind of what kind of got us into this, you know, why we're doing what we're doing, and you know what inspires us, you know. I think it's important to people like to know that, you know.
To get a little more backstory.
What inspires us, and hopefully we can inspire maybe, you know, you guys or we'll just, you know, keep people in the game, you know.
Keep people motivated to like this stuff,
whatever it is, whether it's you're collecting or selling or you just like to watch this type of content, you know. There's people out there, you know. I spend hours watching other YouTubers too, like especially when it comes down to like shoe stuff, bro. Like
it's nonstop. Like, I'll be on YouTube all day.
And I think for me, you know, it's always been like putting on, especially for our area. So people who don't know, we're located in Tri-Cities, Washington. It's kind of middle of nowhere, like Eastern Washington. You know, some people think of it more of like.
I always tell people we live like close to Spokane, and if they don't know Spokane, then I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, buddy.
I always say we're like, you know, we're in the east, kind of like mid, like we're kind of amongst more agriculture. It's not like it's a big city. Although we are growing, I would say that you know, we're growing for sure. So, but it's cool that we're able to go to these events, these big cities, and kind of like putting on, and there's other vendors that we know too that go to these shows, and
it's awesome.
And put on as well with us. So but I want to start off with you, Chewy. Tell the people what's up.
What is up?
Let them know, you know, a little bit. Kind of, I think you should just kind of let them know a little bit about yourself, kind of things that you're into. I think that's an easy way to settle into this. And I guess, you know, what kind of got you into the sneaker world, streetwear world, fashion world?
I think, well, a big part of it was you, low key. Just because, like, I always, like, kind of never really thought about fashion when I was younger. I was, like, we grew up in a really, like, kind of, didn't really have a lot of money, so I never really bought, like, expensive shoes. I always kind of had the Chuck Taylors, you know, whatever I can get my hands on, and then more into skateboarding. I got into that, and it was just kind of, like, Nikes, whatever I could find at Ross sometimes, too. And I think as soon as, like, I got a little older and had some more money in my pocket, you know, I started thinking about buying, like, Jordans and, like, kind of investing in some shoes. And I think the first pair that I got was the Oreo 4s. I think, I don't know if we were working together.
I think we were.
Yeah. And, like, I got those, and those were my first pair. But at the time, when you're a skateboarder, I was wearing a lot of slim jeans, like not skinnies because that never really worked, or my dad made fun of me. But some slim jeans, and then the Jordan 4s, and I got a big foot. They always like never really looked that good, so I ended up. I don't remember who I sold those to, but the Jordan 4s were like my first pair, and then I had the Hair 1s.
I remember those. Yeah,
those
that one has a pretty crazy story too.
Yeah. I ended up getting those, and I was working, and like this homie he still works out. He makes content too. He like saw them, and he wanted to just buy them off my feet, and I was kind of just like, oh yeah, sure. And he was like, I need them right now.
Right, dude. I wasn't there. I remember like you telling me like, yo, this dude just bought these shoes off of me, like just pulled up to work and was like, I need those, and just cashed you out right there. And did he buy you another pair of shoes or like?
No, I just rocked socks for a little bit. I was thinking about buying some shoes, and then I don't know if I bought anything. I might have bought some old school Vans right afterwards, because it was like, I think he gave me like $200 for them.
Dang, so you're just rocking a barefoot.
I was just like, because it was like the end of my shift, and my roommate had to come by and give me the box because he wanted the box too. So it was pretty funny. Like, it was a really funny interaction. Yeah, and like I didn't really get buy any more shoes after that. I kind of like, until we went to California to do Fairfax and go to round 2. I think when round 2 kind of like started popping off on their YouTube videos, I think I got way more interested in it.
Yeah. Because you kind of saw like this mega of like this culture, and especially round 2, like at that time was like one of the biggest like streetwear fashion sneaker like YouTube channel that existed at that time. Outside of, obviously, there was also like Kais Omar, who's he was Crew also, but he was kind of more of like the comedy side of things. Funny, like everything's kind of funny skits and stuff like that. But like round 2 was really like you just kind of saw people like just shopping, like
and the interactions and stuff with people bringing in their collections to sell, and kind of getting like, it had like a really cool like vibe, like 80s kind of hip hop. And I was like really hyped on it, and like I kind of wanted to be a part of that
community.
Like buying vintage and like doing all that stuff. And like I remember getting a pair of the black and white Jordan 1s.
Yeah, and that was a crazy one too.
That's such a funny story too, because I bought those and I didn't think anything of them. And when we went to Vegas, I keep saying Vegas, Los Angeles,
because we just went to Vegas.
We went to Vegas, Los Angeles. I ended up selling those for like $200 at round 2, just because I was like, I wanted to get something here. I was trying to find something and they didn't have anything in my size, and then all the shirts were like really like crazy price, so I ended up just selling them. And some guy outside of round 2, I bought some like infrared 6s.
Oh, that's pretty sick. That's right.
But I still like feel I took an L on that, because like those shoes shot up in like to $700-$800.
Right. Yeah. Now they're worth that much. It kind of made you like, at that time though, it wasn't crazy, because that pair wasn't going for more than like retail. Like maybe like, was it because you sold them for $200, but you think you got them for like $170 plus tax?
I think I got them for like, because we got them at a store in Seattle. Right. I think I got them for like $260. Like,
so you took an L on that.
I wore them a couple times.
Right, you did buy them. So right before we went to LA, I remember this. So before we went out to LA, I remember we went out to Seattle, and there was another shop there called Reselling, and I believe they're still up and running. I think they're in a different location now from the original location that we went to. And this was what? I'm trying to remember when this was like 2016. No, it had to be like
2014. Yeah, like around 2014.
2015. I think there, so. It was around that time. So this was like almost 10 years ago, dude. Yeah. Basically 10 years ago.
Yeah. It's crazy.
2014, right? So 10 years ago, we're going there, and that's where I bought my one of my girls, which was the Jordan 4 Breads.
You got the Bread 4s.
I got the Bread 4s.
I think was it a used pair? I think it was a used pair.
It was a used pair, because I mean, at that time, I was like, I'm not... And that was the most I think I had ever spent on that trip. I remember
it was like $330 or something.
$330, yeah. I think it was something. It was $300 basically, what we paid for, which back then was like insane.
It's crazy.
Like, you're like, damn, bro.
Like it's like crazy how like cheap the shoes were now. Like I don't think the 4s were that popular back then, and like the Jordan 1s were definitely not popular back then. Yeah. So
I feel like they were getting that hype around that time a little bit, but I feel like the 4s weren't as popular, especially if you compare it to now. Like, it was nowhere near it.
I think 6s and 5s were more like
6, 5, 7s, 11s, even 12s, bro. I remember like all of those shoes that were popping, dude. Like everybody wanted those. Yeah, dude. Any shoe that released in that like any color in those shoes like would sell out. I remember that, bro. But Cool. So you know, that's just the beginning of your sneaker stuff.
Yeah.
That's what kind of got you into it. And so also, I don't know if people kind of know, but you're also were like skating. I remember. So I don't know if you wanted to tell them where we met or how we met, but basically we worked at Zoomies.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of, I don't know, like I said, people who do know us, like they know that that's where me and him have been like met each other, and we're best friends ever since then. Like, but so he was a skate guy in the back, like he would always building skate decks. And I was new. You know, all I kind of knew was just kind of like the fashion side of things and sneakers and stuff like that. But seeing all the skate stuff, it kind of like made me want to like kind of be like, oh, what's this? What's that? And this man, you know, had like all the knowledge. And I was like, dude, like, let me pick your brain. Let's sit down and chop it up. Basically, kind of teach me also the ins and out of the business of, you know, working at a retail store, because I also with it being my first retail job, like I was like, I don't want to get fired. Because I felt like, you know, it's like a really like, you know, completely different pace than I was working fast food. So like I was like, dude, I don't want to blow this. I want to work here. So like you got to teach me everything about skateboards.
And I teach you like sales too, which is like
right. So basically ins and out of retail, teach me about skateboards and all this cool stuff. And that was another thing too. Like I feel like that culture was like reminiscent of like the sneaker culture a little bit to me, and that kind of resonated with me too. And I feel like that's why when you say that, you know, I kind of showed you some things, but like learning that thing, I kind of see why we would work together very well, because it's like it has that same like small, you know, you guys interact and it's a community and stuff like that. It's very similar. So
like the skate shop vibe, like where, you know, you want to support the local skate shops. Right. Same thing with like, you know, somebody who's like trying to resell shoes and have their own little shop too.
Right. It's like supporting that group and stuff like that. And when you go in there, you get to meet the people, and it's like it's just meeting people that are kind of into the same things that you are,
and like that same culture, like being part of a culture. I think that's like, you know,
exactly. I 100% agree. But basically, skate, is that something too that like that you had, would you say, like influenced a lot of your taste and like the way you dress and stuff that too?
For sure.
Who were you looking up to like around this? Because I never really asked you that, but like as far as like influence and stuff like that around that time when you were kind of getting more into it, like who were your biggest influences and things that you wanted to wear and stuff like that?
There's a pro skateboarder named Dennis Booznet.
Okay.
You know, the Booznets, like the Adidas shoes.
The Adidas,
yeah, he always like had like a really cool, like he would always wear like brown pants, and like he would wear like a long like a crew neck with like a white tee under it, and kind of like I went through this like long shirt phase because
long tees,
like t-shirts with like long sleeves. I was wearing a lot of those because like him and like Daewon Song, which is another pro skater, he would wear long sleeves too, and I was like trying to like emulate them because I really liked their style, and they're really good skateboarders. So like a lot of times like fashion ideas I would get from skateboarders, like wearing like one solid color, because there's like pro skaters that have worn like all white, or like, you know, if they've done like kind of crazier things. So a lot of like my fashion kind of came from like skateboarding,
originated from there. Who would you say now currently is like your biggest like influence in fashion?
Oh man, I don't know. I feel like right now it's just kind of like a point of like kind of mashing up a lot of different styles of like baggy skateboarding. It's not like anybody in particular. I kind of just want to mix up a couple things and try out different outfits, you know?
Right.
But it's like mainly just kind of skater and like kind of more baggier fit.
And that's a cool thing, I think. That, and that's another thing too, like I said, that always kind of like made me like want to conversate with you, was that you would introduce me to all these other things too, like specifically like skaters, like and I would say even in the sneaker culture, like is influenced by that. Well, you look at it like right now, the biggest shoe is going to be like an SB is a skate shoe. And
it's crazy like to see like like how big he became, and like how it got embraced by the youth, like the 90s skateboarding style, like the baggy jeans, and like all these like cool like old skate shoes are coming back, like the D3s. It's like really cool. Like we're like a really cool spot in skateboarding right now.
Right. And I mean, I don't think you've ever left the skate scene too. Like you kind of just in and out, and obviously you have your injury that you.
I messed up my knee pretty bad.
So like now you can't really skate as much, but you're still very much like influenced by that, I would say, for sure. And a lot of like the concepts and things that whenever we talk about stuff, I know that you're still very influenced by that. So that's cool. And like I said, I don't know if they knew, but like now they kind of know too a little bit of that, and that's an important part of me, because like I said, it's always engraved in like this type of culture and stuff like that. And sometimes people think that, you know, as people who are like into like a specific type of clothing or something like that, or just biters or whatever, or just doing it because you know, just for the hype. But it's like genuinely like those are just things that like me and you and like I've always thought it was just cool. Yeah. And you've been skating longer. Like who knows how long have you been skating for?
So it's 13 to like almost like 16 years.
Yeah, 16. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm trying to get back into it like hardcore. Like, soon. I'm just trying to cut weight, and then I'm getting ready for like a UFC match or something. But I am trying to lose weight so I can start skating a lot more and put more clips up.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of people, like I said, I feel like some people might even just know you as a skater more than like, you know, just somebody who's into sneakers. But like, I feel like you're pretty balanced as far as like that side of things. I think that kind of wraps up that beginning kind of intro to that. The next question that I kind of wanted to go into was kind of like, what made you want to kind of be in the reseller scene, I guess, a little bit more?
I think it was just like the culture, you know. I think it also just like the love. I've always loved shoes. Like when I was younger, like, but it kind of goes back to skateboarding, but like I would draw shoes out, like design shoes. I remember I drew a shoe for a pro skater, and he came by to like the skate park we have, and I gave him like the drawing, and I was like, yeah, I made you a pro model shoe. So like the design and like the colorways and like just like the stories behind it, like the storytelling of like reselling, like the storytelling behind like the design of a shoe. I think that's really cool. Yeah, and there's a lot of potential for like people to make really cool stuff. So I think that's what kind of I gravitate a lot to,
like the business of being able to probably like make something kind of like eventually. Like, well, we saw like Sean Witherspoon, one of my biggest influence. I don't know about yourself, but like seeing him being able to make his own shoe with Nike was like a huge inspiration. I feel like, especially for like resellers, like
no, for sure. And like him being like a designer now too.
Yeah,
like, he's not even a reseller.
I think he's low-key just a designer now. Like he's not even a reseller anymore.
It's like cool, like you get to see like how much like an influence you can have on the community, which like, you know, Staple, right, they're having their shoes, and like Stussy and like all these cool like collaborations. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's like endless possibilities in this type of business, in this industry and stuff like that too. So I know when we were like getting into, you know, us partnering and stuff like that, there was talks of like, you know, the type of names and stuff like that, and we ended up landing on Shoebox. So I want to give the people like your kind of perspective of like what do you think like Shoebox is and what it kind of stands for on its own, like as a brand.
I feel like it kind of like is supposed to represent like that box you have with a bunch of things that you kind of throw under your bed.
You're right.
You know, I think that's kind of like both of our like kind of our thought process behind it, but it also is just like I want it to be a community. Like we want to bring people in. We want to like do cool content. We want to, you know, it's gonna be more than just like reselling. We're gonna be doing a lot more for the community. But the idea behind it is just, you know, Shoebox. You know, this is gonna be something special. You know.
Right. Something special to you, or to
like,
us.
Yeah, whatever is in the box. You know, when you open it up, those are like those special things that, you know, that you keep.
Yeah, right. I mean, those are things that you value. I think that
exactly.
was the biggest thing that we landed was like things that, you know, like we were talking about skating and sneaker collecting and just fashion. It's like everything that you think is cool. Like,
and it goes back to hip hop too. A lot of hip hop is inspired by like the name Shoebox is like a lot of hip hop too.
It's talked about continuously in hip hop about, you know, like having your money in your shoebox or, you know, like just grinding. And I think the shoebox, because that's another like idea that we brought up was just the grind, the feeling of the grind, you know, like, you know, you're grinding when you have money in your shoebox because, you know, that's all you have, you know?
We still want to make a t-shirt with Redman.
That was another thing too that we talked about.
We still got to make that shirt,
the Redman with the shoebox and stuff like that. So I mean, that's also big. So now that we're talking into hip hop, you know, like that's another thing that I feel like, you know, what are some of the music and stuff like that and artists that you were listening to or are currently listening to that inspires you as well?
Man, back in the day it was just all hip hop. I think, you know, I went through phases like, you know, only T.I. Like, you know, back when he was the king, you know, like
T.I.
the Game, Lil Wayne. It's like it's always evolved now that I've gotten older. Like I think it's like Tame Impala,
Okay.
You know, we got Baby Keem, Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
You know, a little bit of everything. A$AP Rocky. I still wish he would come out with another album.
He's actually working on an album.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
So like,
yeah, Travis Scott for sure. When we met too, that was like a moment for us, like with Rodeo. Yeah. So like, it's been a lot of things, but I've always just had like my ears open to like everything besides you know, some music, but.
Would you say, well, at least for me, and I don't want to jump into too much about myself because I want to like have an individual episode for all of us.
Yeah.
But would you say that Travis Scott, you know, has had a pretty big influence not only to the sneaker culture but to yourself, like, and the way you dress and the way you know, put together fits?
Dude, I remember like the jacket hanging off. I remember like us doing that. I don't remember you doing it, but I remember I was like trying to sag that
so
thing.
Like, let it drop and stuff like that, dude. Yeah,
I was trying to do that. I think Travis's style has always been pretty unique. I don't remember like really trying to kind of copy it because, you know, he's got such a thin frame.
Yeah.
So like for me, I always appreciated it, but I never like try to emulate it too much. I always like kind of wore more of like, I always kind of aimed more to Kanye's kind of style because he was a bigger dude and he would wear like, you know, bigger shirts and like kind of that. True. That's kind of more the style that I went to, but I definitely think like what Travis has done with like bringing the Jordan 1 back and making like brown such a cool like colorway, like is just, that's insane to me.
Yeah, not only that, but again, we're going back to the SBs. Like he kind of brought that hype back.
True.
Like, some could argue that you know, like without that release, like the Travis Scott SBs and him wearing consistently, like starting to rock, like all these older pairs and stuff. Like who knows if we would have even gotten the things that we've gotten right now, like the Hot SB, which is such an insane collab.
True.
So.
Because like he would work old colorways that nobody knew about, and then they would just shoot up in price.
Yeah,
like,
that's
it was insane. Like you'd pop off with a new colorway, or like something you'd never seen, and you're like, oh, what is that?
Yeah,
yeah. No, that's crazy. I didn't even think about that.
You mentioned Kanye, another big influence, I think, in sneaker culture and the way that we perceive ourselves to dress. But who do you think, as an artist, has had the biggest influence in your life?
Man,
not only sneakers but like just everything in general, kind of too.
That's like a hard question. I don't dude, I don't know. That's like really hard. I feel like I'm gonna, how do you think about that? That's like, because
who influences like, you, dude? It's about you.
Like, I think it was like a lot of, I think Tupac was a big
Tupac.
I think for like a long time I really liked Tupac and his message, and kind of like, you know, we both grew up in like the hood, so like I always like connected with him, and then he would talk about like his mom and like other like subject matters,
right?
You know, and I always thought that Tupac, you know, his music kind of I always liked it a lot. So
right.
I'm trying to think of other like hip hop. Like I remember like Lil Wayne being a big part of it. I always jumped around from artists, so like I've never like kind of locked into one.
Yeah.
You know, like Johnny Cash was like a big thing for a couple years for me. You know? So
Johnny Cash.
Yeah. So I kind of always jump around artists, and I always like try to like learn, like listen to new music. So I never can like put one above the other, you know.
Okay.
Like Tame Impala too. Again, Tame Impala, dude. I love Tame Impala. So
yeah, well, he's good. You know,
he's
like
incredible.
He's a good music. I enjoy some of that music. You know.
Yes.
So I mean, nothing more that I feel like. Well, I mean, like we also have. I don't know how much you're into kind of like the Mexican music and stuff like that too. So I don't know if that's also some music that's influenced you a little bit.
Yeah. I almost didn't touch on that. And you know, like for me when I was younger too, like I never really like got into it as much. Like I always kind of just listened to hip hop and R&B, and like I started listening to rock music, Nirvana and those kind of things were like my first things. And like recently I've like, you know, we've been seeing the resurgence, or like not a resurgence, but like kind of, you know,
increase in popularity is what I would put it in.
Yeah. And like, you know, we had Bad Bunny and he kind of popped off the whole reggaeton scene, you know.
Right.
And that was kind of like a cool moment for like, you know, Latinos, and then now we have Peso Pluma,
and
like
he's putting on,
and now it's like a Mexican artist too.
Right.
It's kind of cool for like, you know, Latinos to have representation.
Exactly.
And I feel like, you know, when I was younger, we never really got any of it, so we could never really like, you know, get connected with the Mexican culture.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like especially for me, like it was just not there as much as you would want it to be, you know, like.
And it's like very cool, like to see like this generation of kids that like get to listen to this music and get to be proud to be like Mexican.
Right.
It's pretty cool to me. So.
Yeah, that's good. Dude.
And I've like really like try to embrace it as much as I can and like listen to it and like really, you know, kind of get more connected with my roots.
100%. I'm on the same boat as you.
Yeah.
I agree with you, and I think, you know, that's why I said that's why this partnership works, is because you know a lot of the times, you know, the things that we go through, we have very similar tastes in things and similar things that influences us. That like, you know, we want to do better things, be proud of certain things like that, like, you know, being Mexican American, you know, or just Latino in general. If you know you speak Spanish, you know, you're my brother, hey, mi hermano. So that's good, you know. Now I kind of want to dive in a little bit more into, you know, a little bit more of like where your goals and your ambitions as far as like where do you want to take SHBX to,
dude?
You know, like let's start, you know, kind of diving in a little bit deep and like what's your goal? Or where do you see SHBX being at, you know, for you to be like, okay, like, this is what I've been working. This is why we've been going to these shows. This is why we've been breaking our backs, you know, because it hasn't been easy. You know, a lot of people think that, like, you know, they see all, like, the fun stuff and, you know, they don't really get to see too much of, like, you know, the hard work and having to go set up and being up early and having to talk to people, having to meet up, you know, and negotiations. You know, negotiations are hard sometimes. You know, there's people who will come and will press us, you know, like, and try to get, like, the craziest deals that they can. And we're just like, dude, like we can't.
We've had to learn to say no.
right. So it's a lot of work, a lot of, you know, a lot of pressure sometimes too in those moments. Also, like if we're not selling right away, you know, event starts and it's not popping off and we haven't sold a pair for the first hour or two, you start kind of being like, oh, like what are we doing here? You know?
Yo, what up?
Yeah, right. Because at the end of the day. And I always tell people, you know, like I love the culture and stuff and everything like that, but we also, you know, want to be able to have enough, you know, capital to do the things that we want to do and move forward and bring stuff to the people here.
Yeah.
So break it down, you know, where do you see SHBX going?
Man, I want to have a store and hopefully the next year. And I think like when we get a store and just like run it for like a year and like it'd be successful where we can all like quit our jobs and we can just be focusing on the store and our social media, like, you know, all that stuff, like being at a level where we can just be producing content all the time and also just having a location where people can come by and like, you know, buy shoes, and then we can have our own clothing too. So like when we have like a full setup, when we have a store, it's gonna be, that's kind of where like I see it. And then like hopefully down the line, maybe having another location somewhere else. And then, you know, maybe I want to like, I've been thinking a lot about starting a skateboard brand. So, but that's a little more down the line, but mainly for me, just having our own location and just being able to like, you know, have our own location and, be able to like meet people like every day, you know,
like face to face every day,
like, you know, make it a little easier for people to meet up and stuff too. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's great, and I think, you know, that's a conversation I feel like we've had almost 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Like that was like I think one of the biggest thing that made our relationship very important. I feel like, and it's crazy to think that it's been almost 10 years, and like insane. we're just now getting started, guys.
And I think we like both have always like had like the right approach to like customer service and like helping people. Like we want to just give people a great experience.
Exactly.
We're trying to help you guys out, you know.
Yeah.
So, like, and like I want to be able to do that like for our own business instead of like, you know,
working for other people.
Exactly. So like, you know, because we can put more passion into it, we can put more love into it, you know.
Yeah, right. It kind of has more meaning to us.
Exactly.
And for me, it's always like for you know, being able to impact just the area, not like the people here that we know. And giving the next generation of people, you know, who are, you know, middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
we don't have the big cities. We don't have, you know, we don't have the same access that these other people do. But we still have people here who are inspired by the same things, the same type of music, and we have, you know, our own struggles and stuff like that too. Especially like I said, over here we have a lot of, you know, agriculture, so we have a lot of like, you know, Hispanics and Latinos coming over here to do that type of work. And, you know, seeing us, you know, and they can say like, hey, you know, they're doing it, you know, if they can do it, I can do it. You know what I mean? Like that's 100% what it's always been for me too. And that's why I say like when we've been chopping it up, and we're obviously not the first people to say this, but like everybody probably has a dream of opening a store, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, it's like, not easy. But, you know.
And I've met, you know, probably like a dozen people who you know, have wanted to do one store, and we'll go into background a little bit later on in my episode of like, you know, kind of where I went into it too, and what took me to that route. But we're here right now, and we want to. I think that's the biggest thing for both of us, right? Like,
and I think also I forgot to say, like, just building a community, a culture. Yeah, I think that's what my main thought process behind everything is, just being able to, like, how you said, music, art, like, bring all those people in and, like, have a place for them to, like, create. Like, I think that's also another thing that it's going to be very important for me, like, just to have people hyped on, like, us,
just to connect, dude.
Yeah, and just like have somewhere to connect, dude.
And like at the end of the day, it's always going to be about just doing cool stuff, bro. Like, like that's literally all it is, bro. It's like, how inspiring is it to be that, you get to wake up and do what you like.
Exactly.
And that's just it, dude. Like, sometimes it's like, if we don't want to overthink it, dude, it's as simple as that. Like, we just want to do cool stuff. Yeah. Wear the stuff that we like to wear. Like sometimes, in life, it's a lot of like, you got to dress like this. You got to say this. You can't say that thing. You can't. There's certain like levels that make you feel like, lack of inspiration and stuff like that. And that's the thing that I like from hip hop. And I know that that's what we were talking about, was always been like, that freedom to express ourselves and feel like we're actually doing something for us and the community and people like us. So.
And like making people feel like inspired as well.
Right.
To make their own stuff and like make cool things too,
Dude, like making our own like merch, dude, it's also been a big dream of ours too, Well, not just merch, but like for the longest I wanted to do my own clothing brand, like, and I mean, it's shifted. I don't know if I still would want to do that. But like it kind of just evolves over time. Like things that you want to do. And that's like, for me, it's like, if I do the shop, that inspires my side of like wanting to create things and do merch and stuff like that, and not as much as, like I said, as having my own clothing line anymore,
but more just kind of like bringing those ideas,
creating something more than anything,
no, for real.
But even if it's not just for myself, but it's for like everybody. I just want people to enjoy things that we can like just think of and make,
like just be hyped on,
exactly, dude.
I love all those like clothing with all the little details and the thought behind it. I think it's just it's awesome.
And again, like I don't want to get too deep into like the thing like that, because like I said, I want to have my own episode, and I want to get Anthony's perspective on certain things too. So like like it'll be cool, guys. Well, anything else that you wanted to add to it before we end this episode, or
nah, I think I feel like we touched on a lot of things. I'm pretty hyped, I like sitting down and talking about these things, and kind of giving people more of as a perspective, or
I think more of a personal like
a behind the scenes kind of
kind of it's not really behind the scenes, but we're being just
more
open
candid,
about like where we're at
and like what we want to do,
what we like to do, and where we want to be at and stuff like that. And one more thing I want to throw out there too is the biggest thing I think that you mentioned was customer service, dude. Like, how many times have you gone to like a sneaker store or something like that where you just don't feel the being welcome?
And like for sure. When we went into Supreme in Los Angeles.
Oh yeah,
that was crazy.
That was another thing too. I was in that's why I wanted to take that trip around that time. Because like I said, this has been like something that we've been thinking about for years. And that was a big thing for me, was like, we have to go to LA,
see what's up with that.
I was like, dude, we got Round 2, one of the biggest sneaker stores in like at that time was like biggest sneaker store in like the world. And then there was Flight Club, and we like Supreme, one of the biggest streetwear brands. So I was like, we have to go out there. And I had already been there, but I don't think you had been. So I was like, we have to go so you can experience it and kind of see like this culture and really get to like live it and just think. And being there, it kind of makes you feel like, whoa, like I'm here. This is possible. This is a real thing. It's not something you just see through your screen. Like it's a real thing.
you got Trinidad James just walking around.
Dude, we met Trinidad James walking around, bro.
It was so funny. At Round 2, they were like, don't talk to him. He always does this.
It wasn't at Round 2. It was, oh my gosh. There was another store.
Was it the Hundreds, or I can't remember? We
also went to the Hundreds. The Hundreds was one of the biggest brand at that time too. One of the hottest brands, I think, in streetwear. So I think that was a big thing for me too. Was like, if we go out there, we get to see the culture, we get to see everything. And I think a lot of people too may have that misperception about us, is like, oh, we just got into this, and it's like, we've kind of always been into it, dude.
I think it's just like, life, you kind of have to like adjust.
Life happens, dude.
And you gotta like be like, oh, I'm gonna take this step, you have to kind of, everything has to kind of align right for you kind of to take on a journey like this. So
right. And I think you have to be mentally ready, I think.
Yeah.
Like willing to know that, like, you know, you're gonna, like I said, it's a lot harder than people think. You know, like there's a lot of things that happen outside of just the business, but like your personal life, and having to like balance
jungle those two. Exactly.
Jungle those two.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like that was important for me, was just going out there and getting to see that thing and inspire us. And I'm glad that we still remember those things, and it keeps us like wanting to like move forward with this and do this, what we're doing, dude. And I hope you guys stick around with us in this journey, and comment below. You guys have any other questions for Chewy here?
Let me know. I'll answer anything.
We'll see what we'll reply in the comments and stuff like that.
Let me know.
Well, yeah, bro. And then, any more parting words?
Just keep chasing your dreams. You know.
Dang, that was deep.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. Got it here.
Thank you guys.
See you guys next time. Peace.